Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Patricia Kingston. I'm the Corporate Events Officer at Tourism NI, and thank you so much for joining us for this afternoon's webinar session. This is now the third of our industry information webinars to help with your final preparations for the 153rd Open Championship, which of course is taking place just next month at Royal Portrush Golf Club. So we're delighted to welcome you all for this session, and once again we've got an absolutely jam-packed schedule for the next 90 minutes or so. So I'm just going to run through what you can expect today very quickly just before we kick off. So first up, we're going to be hearing from Tourism NI Head of Events, Siobhan McGuigan, who will be setting the scene for us today with her welcome and overview. We'll then be joined by Tourism NI Industry Development Manager, Carolyn Boyd, who's going to be reminding us about the big-hearted welcome and updating on how you can use the toolkit and the Open Ready e-learning module to prepare and make the most out of the event. Following Carolyn, we'll be hearing from Tourism NI's Golf Marketing Manager, George Diamondis, who's going to be sharing the latest golf marketing stats and some updates for you. We'll then be joined by Carmel Scott from our design agency, TBWA. He'll be covering the latest marketing assets available for you to use now in the final run-up to the 153rd Open. Next up, we'll be welcoming Johnny McCarran, the Open Championship Project Manager at Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council. So Johnny will be sharing some details of what's going to be happening in the local area, including events and animation and traffic and transport plans. So definitely stay tuned for that. Following Johnny, we're delighted to be welcoming a couple of industry representatives. So we've got Cheryl Ferguson from Titanic Belfast and Georgia Calderwood from National Trust, who are each going to be sharing a quick snapshot of some of the activity they're planning to deliver during the Open, just to give a little taster of what some industry are doing. Finally, we'll be hearing from Andrew Hanna from Volunteer Now, who's kindly sharing an update on the planned volunteer activity during the Open. And after all that great stuff, we'll have the opportunity to pick up any questions from yourselves before we finish up for the afternoon. So any questions at all for any of our speakers during today's session, please just pop them into the question box at any time during the presentations, and we'll pick up as many of those as we can at the end. So as you can see, I wasn't exaggerating. We have a lot to get through in the next hour and a half or so. So we'll get straight to it. It's now my absolute pleasure to introduce and hand over to Tourism NI Head of Events, Siobhan McGuigan, to kick us off today. So good afternoon, Siobhan, and over to you.
Hello, Patricia. What a very lovely welcome. Hi, everyone. Absolutely delighted that you could all join us today on this webinar. I'm Siobhan McGuigan, Head of Events with Tourism NI. And what we plan to do over the next while is really just talk you through and introduce you and excite you about the great opportunities that hosting the Open here in this summer, in a number of weeks' time, a scary number of weeks' time, brings to Northern Ireland. It really does provide a great shop window for Northern Ireland as a place to live, to work, to invest, and of course, to visit. Looking back at 2019, and if any of you were at the event itself or just in any way involved, you'll remember, of course, that it really did deliver right across the board. It did deliver huge economic benefit, not just to the immediate region, but across Northern Ireland as well. And we were really proud that it was the first Open Championship outside of St Andrews to be a sellout. So for us, that was a really great accolade. We're absolutely delighted that 2025 is set to surpass even those records set in 2019. You'll see some stats here on the screen, and this is just gives you this snapshot of what we're really focusing on delivering and driving forward, pardon the pun, for 2025. The expectation is that there'll be around 278,000 attendances, and this is right across the world. And of course, it's not just about those people who have their feet on the ground or feet on the course, of course. It's very much focusing on those huge broadcast opportunities, with this event being broadcast over 500 million households across 150 countries right around the world. I think that's a phenomenal stat whenever you think about what images are going out right across that world. This all combines to equate to a combined economic and media value of 213 million. Again, absolutely phenomenal for Northern Ireland. These are figures that we really couldn't afford to buy, as it were. So we're absolutely delighted that this is what delivering and hosting the Open here in 2025 will bring. But of course, we can't do that alone. It very much is around all the combined pulling together and efforts right across our industry, which is why we are so delighted to have you on the call. one of our key ambitions for 2025 and to build even further on what was delivered in 2019 was to make sure that local supply chain and staff and skills and everyone around the area and right across the north could really benefit from bringing the event here. What we heard in 2019 was that 83% of visitors said they were more likely to visit Causeway Coast and Northern Ireland in the next 2 years as a result of attending the Open. And of businesses, 73% in the local area reported a really positive impact on their business. So that's really essentially just to give you that sense of what it does deliver. And it isn't just around the people turning up, buying a ticket, buying food on course, which of course is very, very important, but it's about all those other experiences as well. What you will hear about in the coming hour or so are around how you can get involved. And what I just want to flag at this stage is just how you should really try and think about those wider opportunities as well, potentially the considerations about who's walking across your door, who's buying your food, who's staying in your premises. And there are a large number of contractors that have been working in the area since around April when the build started. And not just that, RNA staff, all their contractors have been coming over for a number of months now and are really here in force. And I think it's just really important that we want to recognise and remember that they're also real ambassadors for the North and for the area, and everything that you do really just helps to showcase what a great place this is. We're really keen that the Open returns, of course, so the better experience that the contractors and the RNA has, the better it is for us as well. Of course, it's not just about the build up to the Open, where all the staff, contractors, etc. have been staying. Then we have the 278,000 feet or tickets on the ground. Afterwards as well, for a couple of months, there will be that D-rig stage, so there will be a lot of staff still around. So again, these are all real opportunities for us to make sure that we can make the most of all of everything that this event brings. To give you a wee bit of a sense of some of the staffing numbers, and this is just some of them, there's around 5,000 job opportunities being created before, during, and in the D-rig stage of the event itself. Around 3,000 of those will be casual local workforce, and actually about 85% or more of the food and beverage staff are local. The vast majority are actually. It's only that they do have some staff that they bring with them that really tour on the championship circuit. Another really good stat that we've had working with the RNA and its suppliers, again, around the food and beverage side of things, is that up to 85% of produce that they use across corporate hospitality and all in the players' lounges and Origins Lounge are all local. So this is such a good opportunity to be able to showcase and be very proud of our wonderful local food and beverage. There are about 1,300 orders placed already across the F&B side of things. So again, I think it's just a huge logistical challenge that they are managing. But we are really, really proud that the North has been able to step up to the plate and just show them how we can support an event of this scale. So I'm not going to labour the point too much more. I think what you're going to hear from now on is really just how you can get involved, and hopefully there'll be some really good inspiration for you to take forward in your business. I'm now going to pass across to Carolyn Boyd, who will take this forward.
Afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Siobhan. We were just chatting earlier about what we're going to do when this is over. I don't know. But I just want to take the opportunity to remind you about a few things that you may or may not have done, and also to thank everybody who has joined us previously. It's hard to believe the first webinar we invited you to was in February, and time has flown by. So I just like to thank everybody that's joined us today, and also people who've dropped in to Portrush to meet us, and all the staff that are behind this, and also to those who have attended the customer service training which you relied on. That training is now finished. We've got a good few people through that. And also thank you to the businesses who let your staff out to attend that training, because that is really important, and I know you're very busy, so thank you very much. Many of you have looked at this toolkit, have gone through it, but today you're probably going to get some of the final updates. There'll still be a bit more to come, but hopefully get fully up to speed today. And anybody who's looked at the assets, it's still, what we're trying to say is it's not too late. It is weeks away, but it is imminent. So if you can bear that in mind. So what I'd like to do as well is just, it wouldn't be me if I didn't remind you about the Northern Ireland brand. So this is all about embracing the giant spirit. And as you can see, the bit is about big-heartedness. So that's about our welcome, which we're famous for. But we also are well known and renowned for our storytelling. So our banter and our ability to tell original stories. And also there's no better time to showcase our landscape than up in that part of the world. So as Siobhan said, this will be broadcast to millions. So it's just about time maybe to have a look back at those brand books that all have been shared and just see if there's anything else. So many of you on the webinar today, I had a look, and there's many from accommodation sector. So our quality and standards team, you'll probably know, many of you will know our advisors that go out and meet you and keep you right. They are really tied up because, believe it or not, we've had so many requests for certification to our team that I said I would just cover off some of the stuff today. Many of you this will be, you know, what you live and breathe, and you do this every day. But I'm very wary from chatting to people that there's some people on the call here and some people who we've met who are letting out their accommodation for the very first time. They've maybe take the plunge and say, well, this is my holiday home, I normally go up there, but this time I'm going to see if I can dip my toe into that market. So you may not ever have had guests before, which may be a bit daunting. So I just wanted to remind you here about a few things, a few tips that you should be doing whenever you're looking at you know, inviting and welcoming visitors. So, you know, maybe it's your home, as I say, and it's a bit daunting, but just think about the pre-arrival. So your journey and your relationship with the visitor starts at the pre-arrival. So there's loads of things you can do there, but mainly about, you know who's coming, which is the fundamental. You know, is it golfers who have special requirements? Is it a family who may need itineraries? There's tips about, you know, what else can they see and do? And we've heard on Discover Northern Ireland, our consumer facing website, there's lots of itineraries that have been built up there. So really, really good time to have a look at things to see and do and get examples of things you can do locally. And don't just forget that people are travelling far and wide when they come to Northern Ireland. We are a tiny place, so you may have local people that you're recommending, but also things that can see or do further afield, because people do want to travel when they're here. Have you got all the tips about, you know, the transport? Do you know about all the taxis, what's going on locally? I think the public transport is probably a bit daunting for people. And also just to bear in mind that because we're welcoming people from all over the world, English is not always their first language. So is there an opportunity to provide translations or even just a welcome in whatever country they're coming from? And do you know, and you probably get updated, I know you get updated today on this, but just all about the park and ride, the bus stop locations. It won't be a normal time that you normally give details out to your visitors. So just bear in mind that everything will look a bit different, and things like TV, sports packages, etc. Also things like, you know, a golf schedule. The other thing would be about people give personal recommendations. So now is the time really to make sure you get a really good review and somebody leaves that good review with you as well. And the social media, you know, is so important now, so don't be scared to ask people for a review. And also, as I said, the itineraries, contact details, make sure that they've got every point to make sure that they're able to contact you. And basically, when you get your feedback, that is so important, because no matter if you're starting off, you might have a database of one at the moment or none because you're starting off new. You might have hundreds of contacts, but obviously this is a really important time to build that customer database up and make sure that you get the feedback so that you can share on the socials. So I'm just going to go back to the big-heartedness again, because the visitor actually is the one that we listen to, and the visitor time and time again tells us that It's about our authenticity that is really what Northern Ireland's all about. And sometimes I think we take that for granted because it's just about being authentic and being us. But believe me, people tell us that whenever they come to Northern Ireland, it's like staying with friends and family. And I think that is the biggest compliment that anybody can ever give you. So please don't underestimate that. So as I said, it's not too late to get involved. We'd like you to have another look at the toolkit. We'd also love it if you can jump into our online platform, e-learning platform. And if you're already on tni.com, you just have to go to the right-hand side. There's a drop-down menu. It will say e-learning platform, and you can jump down there and you can get an open ready badge, which we would love you to be able to display on your socials. I'm just going to show off mine that I got a few weeks back. It only takes about half an hour, and this badge means that you can share it on socials and make sure that everybody knows that you are in fact open ready. So again, some stuff you've heard before, just last chance, couple of weeks left to get ready for this. So that's all from me. I'd just like to hand you over to George, who's our golf manager, and then on to Carmel, who will take you through our assets. So thank you very much, folks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Diamondis, and I'm the golf marketing manager at Tourism Northern Ireland. And I'm just going to run through a quick overview of the general landscape of golf tourism and some updates on our golf visitors, where they come from and where they spend. Looking specifically at the Open, as we mentioned in the previous Road to the Open webinar, don't think of the Open as just the 1 week of the event. We'll have construction was started up at Royal Portrush in April of this year. Over 1,000 contractors will be involved in the build of the site at the golf course between now and the championship commencing in July. And then as well, we'll have RNA site visits up to that stage as well. So local businesses and accommodation providers will be able to feel that impact of visitors coming to stay at your properties well before the championship commences. The Open Week itself will have event staff from the likes of the RNA, Tourism Northern Ireland, and key patrons of the RNA, corporate sponsors with their guests, spectators, and then families, players, their families, and their staff that will be traveling with them to compete in the Open Championship. Depending on the type of visitor, so spectators might be staying a couple of days, the players, up as long as they are still competing in the tournament beyond the cut on Friday afternoon, and then the event staff, they'll be there for the full week. Then post-Open, the breakdown will commence, where the contractors will be back on site to remove the grandstands and the corporate hospitality structures. So do be aware that the impact and the footfall of people coming to support the Open will continue well beyond the week of the championship itself. Just to give you a quick overview of how the ticketing works for spectators, the authorized provider program is where tour operators will get access to tickets to sell as packages to visitors coming over to Northern Ireland. So the majority of out-of-state visitors from outside of the UK and Ireland will tend to book through a tour operator, where a package with accommodation transfers up and back to Portrush from their hotel, and match tickets will be provided. The majority of these ticket packages have been sold, although select operators do still have some packages available, so we do intend to see a few more sales still taking place between now and July. The ballot system is where the general admission ticket holder will get their tickets. The ballot system is open to all One Club members, and all tickets were issued on the ballot in September of last year. The RNA run an official resale platform, and that is currently live at the moment. If you to simply search on Google the Open resale platform, you'll see access to the tickets there. There is a substantial amount of tickets still available for the practice days. However, championship days tend to come back on sale and sell within seconds. So if you're looking for tickets yourself, you'll need to be quite quick, refresh your browser continuously until the ticket becomes available. Ticket Plus options are completely sold out, and these were a ticket option which is introduced by the RNA, which allows a spectator to skip the ballot. So it's a product that sits between the general admission and the hospitality packages in terms of pricing, but it'll still give you access to a private area, private bar facilities, and private bathroom facilities. Within the hospitality or premium experience section, there will be 6 levels of hospitality. Hospitality will run between Wednesday and the 4 championship days, which conclude on Sunday, and the majority of these packages are sold out. with a couple of options still available on some of the higher end experiences. When looking at a breakdown of where the visitor will be coming from, if we look at the graph in the little section on the right, we'll see the breakdown of one club members. So the vast majority are based in the UK, with the second largest market coming from the US. And these numbers will reflect what numbers of spectators are coming to Royal Portrush next month to visit and enjoy the Open. Just some considerations when considering spectators. All spectators that I mentioned earlier have been allocated their tickets in the ballot. The way the ballot will work is that it is unlikely that a spectator will get multiple days in a row, and rather 1, 2, or 3 days, depending on how lucky they were on the ballot. The primary reason for these spectators is to attend the Open. However, with a lot of visitors only having days separated from each other, they will be looking for things to do away from Portrush and the golf itself. So a fantastic opportunity for experience providers, attractions, and food restaurants around restaurants and bars from around Northern Ireland to make the most of that footfall that we'll have during that week. The resale platform is still available. Tickets do come up and are snapped up pretty quickly, but there is still the possibility of last minute bookings still being made. So if you have accommodations still available, be mindful that we have 4 weeks to go, but there is still an opportunity for some last minute sales. When looking now broadly at the golfing visitors to Northern Ireland, now this is taking into consideration golfers that will come year on year and travel to Northern Ireland with a primary reason of playing golf. The value to the economy of these visitors is at £86.2 million in the last season in 2024. That's a substantial growth from what we had in 2019, and the largest number in terms of economic impact we've had from golf tourism to Northern Ireland so far. Last year, 29,400 people visited Northern Ireland, and when we break it down, there's two distinct markets, North America and everybody else. Looking at a couple of insights from the latest the Golf Tourism Monitor, the strongest demand comes to the North American market, and they travel here almost exclusively to play golf. And more than 87% in 2023 were here to play golf, to play links golf. More than 50% of the spend into the economy of that overall 86.2 economic impact is from the North American visitor, and the overall tour operator bookings compared to 19 are up significantly. So almost the majority of visitors traveling to Northern Ireland will tend to book through a tour operator. They'll take care of all elements of their golfing visit for them. Last year, we saw the strongest growth from the rest of world market, and this was predominantly Australian visitors. And this is fantastic to see that after the COVID-19 pandemic, that Australian visitors are now returning to Northern Ireland and in stronger numbers than we'd seen prior to the pandemic. Spend from this market remains very high, but a similar spend to the US. However, the Australian visitors will tend to stay a little bit longer than the North American visitors. The EU and the Republic of Ireland market remains very steady. The typical demand is for resort golf from Republic of Ireland and EU visitors, but both tend to prefer to play links golf. So it's a slight, about 51% from both these markets are preferring to play links golf when they travel to Northern Ireland. 75% of visitors from the EU will plan their own travel, which means they do not book through a tour operator and have their package elements taken care of for them. When looking at expenditure by country, and this is why we refer to the markets being distinctly divided by North America and everybody else. When you look at 2024, 11,000 visitors came from the North American market, but the spend was substantially more. £44 million of that 86 million was generated by North American visitors. Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland visitors will be classed as domestic. GB visitors is a strong one at 12 million, doubled in growth from 2019, and brilliant for shoulder season and regional spread in terms of those wanting to play parkland golf. And the rest of the world market, which is predominantly the Australian visitor, has more than tripled since the pandemic, up to £11,630,000 last year, with 1,800 visitors coming to Northern Ireland to play golf. That is all from me. Thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us at golf@tourismnorthernireland.com.
My name is Carmel Scott and I am the Client Marketing Partner at Tourism Northern Ireland. This afternoon I'm going to take you through some of the assets that we have developed to allow you and your business to communicate a giant welcome to the 153rd Open. So all the assets that you see here today, really they use a mixture of Embrace a Giant Spirit and NI Made for Golf, because I'm sure most of you will be aware that only official partners can use the Open logo. Everything that I talk you through here is available on the content pool, and at the end I'll share just some information on how you can access the assets. So in terms of, I suppose the countdown now is now well and truly on. So I've really tried to focus my content today on things that you can do now over the next couple of weeks to really get your business involved with the 153rd Open. One of the first things that you can do, and really simple things that you can do, is just communicate a giant welcome to all those golf visitors that are going to descend into Portrush and beyond. You can do that with some of the assets that I am going to show you here today, just some posters, some social posts and window displays. The second thing that you could do is just have fun and create some event themed offers and promotions. We've already started to see some really nice examples coming through from industry in terms of cocktail lists, menu items. It just really helps to build that anticipation and excitement for the competition. The third thing is that we can all just celebrate the event. I think celebrate Northern Ireland's role as proud hosts of really one of the world's most prestigious golf events, so that you can do that just through your social media posts, through how you communicate with your visitors and your shoppers potentially that come through your doors. And finally, the last thing that we can all do is inspire our golf visitors. We should all be encouraging the golf fans that come to Portrush to come and visit other local attractions, restaurants, and experience Northern Ireland far beyond the competition. So one of the things I talked about then was really having fun around golf themed promotions and events. And one of the way that you can do that is just through having fun through some golf language. So here's some inspiration for you, which you may be able to use across some of your communications. So the first one here, make the first tee a good one. This could be used to showcase your food and beverage offering, and this could be used to communicate maybe that breakfasts are available or extended opening hours for restaurants. The second one, get into the swing of things. So this could be used to talk about your entertainment, your live music, or any messages related to hospitality around the event. And the third one, sometimes it's good to spend time in the sand. So as I mentioned previously, it would be great to be able to talk about the wider destination in Portrush and beyond the Causeway coastal route. So this could be used to talk about those wider visitor itineraries and really encourage the golf visitors to go and see everything that Northern Ireland has to offer. One of the other ways of using that golf themed language is just through, these are just some Instagram carousels that we've worked up. What you can do is swap out, so obviously we've used the epic swings here again, but you can use these and swap these out for your own images across your business. But I think the language is a nice way just to get involved. I suppose one of the simplest things that we can all do, as I said, is to really deliver that giant welcome message, both to the RNA and the 153rd Open, but also to all the visitors that will maybe attend the event or just come and visit Portrush and the surrounding area during the time of the 153rd Open. We've created just a poster here, just on the left-hand side. So this is just a really simple example. You can obviously swap out for your own logo here and use this poster across your business. The middle example is an example of, I suppose, how you can give your menu or your food items a golfing twist. and create some memorable food that can be enjoyed during the 153rd Open. The example on the right hand side is a cocktail menu. So we have everything here from the Royal Portrush to the Lowry. So again, you know, lots of fun here that you can have, and even getting your staff involved in creating these menus, you know, for both the weeks leading up to the event and obviously the week of the event itself. Another very simple tool that allows your business to deliver that giant welcome is just by updating your cover photo templates on your social media pages. So this one is a Facebook template. And all you need to do is, you know, if you want to use this, all you do is just swap out your logo. And again, these are all available as original artwork files on the content pool. So you literally just save it down and upload it then as a new Facebook cover photo. These are, we've worked these up specifically for Instagram. These are obviously full screen formats, and again, they're really flexible in that potentially you could use this as one screen as an opening frame, and then use you know, your own content following that to include things like menus, your opening hours, to encourage pre-bookings for restaurants, or just a standalone post. We would encourage you to use the hashtag NIMadeForGolf in any of your social media posts, because what that will do is that will allow the TNI content team to pick up and share some of the promotions and activities that you are activating across your business. So we really would encourage you to use that hashtag. And just continuing with that giant welcome theme, as I talked about, we should be encouraging the visitors to get out and visit, you know, beyond and explore the wider Causeway Coastal Route and the rest of Northern Ireland. And this is a lovely way, again, these are really flexible, that you can use your own images here across your own business, or team up with other businesses, attractions or hotels in the area to include some images really that encourages visitors to get out and explore beyond the Gulf. We have created these little simple badges, a giant open welcome. So again, these are really flexible that you can use across your social assets, across menus, posters. You could include them in little mini badges for your staff, or maybe if you already have, you know, existing menus, you can literally just use these and place them on your existing visuals. One of the other ways that we can showcase our giant spirit to potential Gulf visitors is by telling them that we're open ready. And I suppose what that does is it demonstrates that all our businesses are absolutely delighted to welcome Gulf visitors, and we have made extra efforts in the background to make sure that we are absolutely ready for their visit. So these are examples of little wafers that were created by Wafer Limited. So just really simple, but just a nice way of showing Gulf visitors and other visitors that the fact that we're ready and we're ready to welcome the Open. So all the assets that I have talked to you about today are available for download from the content pool, and that is linked here. The full presentation is also available if you just want to use it maybe as a reference, and the layered files are also available from the content pool. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to get in touch with me. Anything regarding creative, more than happy to have a look at anything that you are planning on using, and you just want an opinion on something. And then Kathy looks after our content pool, so any issues that you have accessing any of the assets from content pool, please feel free to get in touch with Kathy. So I'm going to leave you with the top 5 things to do with 4 or 5 weeks out from the 153rd Open. I think this is a realistic list of some of the things that we can all do together to welcome the event and really build the anticipation and excitement. The first thing is, using the assets that I've talked you through here today, is to communicate a giant welcome. The second thing is just to use that lovely golf language to create your bespoke menus, window displays, your activations or events. The third thing is provide visitors with information on what there is to see and do in the wider area, and to communicate that really important message that Portrush is open for business. The fourth thing to do is make sure and send Tourism Northern Ireland your pictures, or indeed tag us on any of your social posts so that Tourism Northern Ireland can share all your good work. And the final thing to do, I am going to play you a lovely video, which I really think builds the excitement and that civic pride right across Northern Ireland. And please feel free to share this video on your own channels.
This year, history will once more be made on these shores, as the giants of the golfing world return to Royal Portrush for the 153rd Open Championship, a global event we are so proud to host. This year, new legends will be born, new stories will be written in this, our spectacular land made for golf, as the world looks on in wonder. This year, Northern Ireland will welcome and embrace it all, as only we can, with our giant spirit. This year will be like no other year, like no other place. Another unmissable, unforgettable moment in our history. It's going to be giant.
Thank you. And just a reminder, I'll just finish off maybe on this slide, that just if all assets are available from the content pool, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Carolyn and George and Carmel there. Hopefully everyone's feeling a little bit more open, ready now. So it's now my pleasure. I'm just going to hand you over to Johnny McCarran from Causeway Coast and Glensborough Council, and he's going to be giving us a little update from the council. And please don't forget, if you have any questions from anything you've just heard or anything you're going to hear over the next remaining couple of presentations, just feel free to pop those into the questions panel in your control panel there. So Johnny, we're delighted to have you with us today. Thank you so much, and I'll just hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you everyone for coming along today. I'm really happy to get this opportunity and this time to speak to you all. There's lots and lots going on here at Council as we prepare as much as we possibly can do to welcome all these many people who are coming to the North Coast, the beautiful North Coast, to enjoy this absolutely fantastic event. It's quite a large spread of work and activity the council has to undertake. Lots of it visible, some of it not visible, but just as equally as important. So we just keep going. I wanted to just kind of highlight a couple of areas and talk through them really quickly. As Patricia said, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the side there and we'll try and answer them at the end. What I really wanted to focus on initially to start was just the big message that we have. And it's been talked about a couple of times earlier. It's all about Portrush is open and our town is open and the whole North Coast is open, really. We wanted to reflect on 2019 and some of the messaging we've been getting from our local businesses and local community. And it's all about having a campaign around that, reinforcing that message and having a little bit of energy behind that. At Council, we've created that campaign, Our Town is Open. And the reason why we chose that as the phrase is it's all about being able to tie that to any of our towns along the North Coast. So Portrush is open, our town is open, and then apply it to any of our towns, Portrush, Portstewart, Coleraine, and Ballymoney, and spread it throughout, so that we ensure that we're being able to demonstrate our offerings right across Causeway Coast and Glens. Council does, of course, continue to capture, publish content for its Causeway Coast and Glens live channel, and we're doing lots of videos and interviews and displays around the Our Town is Open campaign. In terms of that bigger picture around, the kind of the tourism and promotion side of things, our promotion and branding campaign, our plans are pretty much complete and have been agreed, working really closely with some of our partners. We're now proceeding already to start the branded dressing element of Portrush Town, and any of you who are in and around the town may see that already. Lamppost banners, barriers, there's a few other things coming up very, very soon, which will certainly catch your eye. So if you're in and around Portrush, please keep your eye open for that. One of the things I enjoy most about that is it's the folk who work for us. It's the events team and it's the estates team. There's a real sense of civic pride, and you see that within them whenever they're engaged in this kind of work, and they just really are enjoying trying their best as possible to make our town look as clean and as welcoming and as well branded and dressed as they possibly can do. So I've really, really enjoyed seeing that, and it's something which really, really shouldn't be overlooked. Council's plans for wider branding and dressing opportunities are also being rolled out across the borough. We're looking at hitting some key arterial routes and some of our beauty spots and some of our more significant areas with other pieces of kind of key branding, just kind of keeping that message consistent and pointing and welcoming everyone towards the event space itself. We also have a little thing going on at the moment with our mobile, the open letters, or on a mobile tour around Causeway Coast and Glens. We have a competition running in the background for if folk can spot where they are. They're currently in a very beautiful spot along the north coast from where I live, but they've had a few places they've been at already, so please keep your eye open for that. We're getting good bit of traction on that and social media on our website, so we're really quite enjoying that. In terms of the Championship Week itself, we're going to be running some events and some animations and some concerts and some music and some family-friendly fun in and around Portrush. Real focus being along Kerr Street Green in Portrush, starting on the Wednesday, running right through to the Sunday. The focus being on the Our Town is Open stage on Kerr Street Green. Going to be offering lots of cultural expressions, so music, dance, song, etc., from all across Causeway Coast and Glens, showcasing everything from all of our different towns, giving people the opportunity to show that their town is open and their talents live on the big stage. Probably our biggest night will probably be Friday. We're going to be running BBC Radio. We're going to be there running all of their events live from Kerr Street Green and Portrush during the day on the Friday. We're going to have lots of big bands, big music, a lot of fun going on, golf-related fun as well. We have booked, and we're looking forward to welcoming back our aeronautic pyrotechnic display that's happened previously in Portrush and brings a lot of visitors and is really, really welcome. It's a really, really great event. We're going to run that on the Friday night as well. Culminating ultimately on the Saturday and the Sunday, but a good selection of stuff, bands and organisations and groups and songs that people will recognise, as well as new local emerging talent. We're going to let Stendhal Festival, they're going to take over half of one of the days as well, to showcase what's going on at their festival. So just trying to make that wider connection with some of the big events that are happening along here in the North Coast. I kind of wanted to touch on a few other things as well. In terms of our kind of engagement that's been going on locally, we had our second local business and community engagement event there a few weeks back. We had one back in February as well. Both were held in the Town Hall in Portrush. Across both of them, there was about over 250 attendees across both of them. The first one being more heavily attended than the second one, but we took that as a positive, and we think people must have had a lot of their questions answered already. But no, we still welcome that, and we were able to welcome people still through drop-in sessions, which are happening 3 if not 4 times a week in Portrush Town Hall, running Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. There'll be usually someone there from the RNA or someone there from council, usually myself or mostly colleague Helen from the RNA. What we're dealing with there a lot of the time, and just to kind of emphasize this, most of the questions we're getting are around 2 things: the movement of people and the movement of vehicles. They're all about parking and they're about transport and they're about getting around Portrush. So we're dealing with a lot of that, but we've got really good plans in place for that. That ties me nicely, I suppose, into a little bit of a touch on traffic and transport plans and everything that's going ahead there. In terms of getting to Portrush, getting out of Portrush, getting around Portrush, getting around the North Coast, and trying to ensure that people move as easily as possible. In the context, of course, that this is a town of 6,500 people. A lot of whom live on the peninsula. With 6,500 people, and over the space of a week, we're going to be bringing over 300,000 people into that town. So it's a large logistical effort. but there's a lot of partners involved and a lot of people working away. So it's we're really confident about the plans we have in place. There's significant enhanced public transport locally, so bus and rail service timetabling across Portrush, Causeway Coast and Glens area and beyond have all been finalised and they're published. They're all updated on Translink's website. Online sales for rail, bus and park and ride services are really growing steadily in terms of those who are coming to the championship itself. The park and ride service itself is able to hold anything up to 14,000 cars. The first train is going to be rolling out at Belfast Grand Central Station at about 4:20 in the morning. This is a big operation. We're moving a lot of people, but really have learned that all the partners involved in this are really clued into this. Have done this several times in the past. This is another scale, but really work is going on well there. Translink have committed to a final train departure time from Portrush during the championship week of 11:05, so 23:05 in the evening, as well as supplementing the local 1:40 bus locally. There'll be an extra services put on for that. It'll start earlier. It'll also stop later. There'll be buses running from Portrush train station at 11:30 and midnight as well. Council and the RNA, we've also started rolling out our process in terms of how we assist people who live locally who are potentially displaced and require parking during the time. So from the council point of view, we're looking specifically at residents and businesses. If you're a resident and you are unable to, one of the orders are in place, if there's no waiting any time or any kind of restrictions around the street that you live on, then we are offering up through an application process for you to be able to avail of some displaced parking in Portrush itself. So for example, there's Parker Avenue football pitches, there's the Metropole Green at the front end of town, or if you're a business, you're being allocated to Lansdowne Green at the top end of the town. These areas will be manned and looked after during the day, and as long as you are able to go through the process and get your pass, then you'll be able to get access into these. If you're interested in seeing and learning any more about that, please go onto our website. It's on the very front page of our Causeway Coast and Glens website. It's a third title along parking restrictions in Portrush, so please follow through that. Well, we've had a really good, steady flow of requests coming through there, where we're going about to supplement that. We're about to hit the streets in the next week or two and do a bit of engagement with folks locally on the street, knock a few doors, put some leaflets out, just to kind of keep building that. And our environmental services team are going to help with that as well in terms of getting a bit of that information out. Big operation, but really important. We want to try and this to have as little impact on people as possible. I'm not naive enough to think that it won't have some impact, but whatever we can do to help as a council, we're going to try our best to absolutely do. In and around Portrush as well, you'll probably have noticed that those of you who've been in and around it, the build is well underway at the golf course, and that will have been noticeable now for a number of months. But some of you may not have noticed, and you will now. But even East Car Park, a section of East Car Park has already been handed over to the RNA, and they're already starting to build their media compound there in East Car Park. So certainly that was an indicator to us that we're really getting close. Those land requests have gone through, and the RNA are starting all that build already. So it's the excitement builds as we move towards that. But the traffic and transport being a large part of it, and one of the most significant considerations for ourselves and all partners. The kind of final bit I really wanted to touch on was one of our groups that we have within council, and it's really important section and piece of work that we're doing, and we call it service continuity and town presentation. We met again this morning, and the job of that group and the responsibility councillor taken there is to ensure that the town looks and functions as well as it possibly can do. So there's lots of plans in place for enhanced and changed bin collections. So if you do live locally, look out for notifications coming through about different times and changes to when your bin collections are taking place. There'll be enhanced doubling down on the street sweeping, the litter picking, the cleaning, the hosing, the special waste collections, just ensuring that everything is clean and tidy as we possibly can do. And also the presentation of amenities and toilets, etc. as well. Even focusing on things like grass cutting, flowers, all the things we can kind of do to ensure that people's first impression is a strong and positive one. We're very aware of the fact that there'll be a large number of folk who this is the first time they may have visited our part of the world, first time they may have visited Portrush. Once they get off that train or once they get off that bus or car or coach or whatever it is, we want their first impression to be a positive one, because we do tend to find that is a lasting one. So it's a really important area for us. We're dedicating a lot of time and effort from our estates and operations guys going into that. So yeah, just overall, lots and lots going on. Really busy, but a happy busy, a contented busy, a determined busy. and there's a real sense of civic pride in it. It's something that we've really picked up on in the last week or so. Everybody's pulling together, wanting to do whatever they can to try and make sure that, council give a really good impression of our local area, and as folks have earlier said, use this as a key opportunity to show that this part of the world is absolutely open, ready to welcome visitors, and ready for business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnny. That's brilliant, and I just think you can feel that the buzz is just rising and rising as we get closer. We're sort of on the home straight now, so 1 month out. So thank you so much. As I mentioned before, earlier, we are going to hear just a little snapshot from a couple of industry representatives. I know lots of industry all over Northern Ireland are doing things. It's my pleasure, first of all, to introduce Cheryl Ferguson from Titanic Belfast, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on down there beside Titanic Belfast and around the Nomadic during the time that the Open is in progress. So, Cheryl, I'm going to hand.
Hey everybody, do forgive my voice is going slightly, which is bad timing, but I'm delighted to be here speaking about what we're doing in Titanic Belfast in conjunction with the 153rd Open. So first of all, we just wanted to say that any event that brings tourism to Northern Ireland is something that we're excited about, and we obviously recognise it's one of the greatest sporting events of the year. So we know that we're excited, we expect our visitors to be excited, our community to be excited, and importantly as well, we want our staff to be excited, because for many people passing through, they might begin their journey in Belfast or they may end their journey in Belfast, and as one of the leading tourist attractions, we want people to obviously make Titanic Belfast a place to stop as well. So we had a little think about what we could do to share that excitement and to be part of that story, and so we decided to, in conjunction with Maritime Belfast Trust and their initiative of Sundays on the Maritime Mile, we decided to offer some fun family activation around a mini golf course, which will be just outside the SS Nomadic. So what we're really doing is putting this on for people who perhaps are going to the Open. As I said, they might be starting their journey here in Belfast, and they may spend a day before they go up to Portrush. And there may also be a lot of people who are in Belfast who can't travel to Portrush. Maybe they didn't get tickets, or maybe that's not just on the cards for them. So we wanted a way for them to connect with the Open this year as well. So we wanted it to be accessible for all, which is why this is also free animation. It's going to be something that you can do if you have a ticket to Titanic Belfast, or even if you don't have a ticket and you're just in the local area. So there's going to be a 9-hole mini golf course with obstacles that reflect the tourist attractions around Northern Ireland. So our iconic building will be one of them, and the SS Nomadic and various other places, so that we can connect in with that story as well. There's also going to be some carnival games like Hook a Duck and Tin Can Alley, Cornhole, giant lawn games. So we really want it to be sort of a fun family and open to all event. And as part of that, we're also putting on our ice cream, which will be available, which is kind of an American lemon flavour that we have out this summer. So it's part of a wider sort of fun family day out. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say, but very welcome. It's beginning on Sunday, the 6th, and it's continuing right through to Sunday, the 3rd of August. So there'll be 5 Sundays between 12 midday and 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Apologies, I think there was an issue with my sound as I was introducing you, so at least you knew it was time to start. So thank you. And thanks so much. We're now going to hand over to Georgia Calderwood from National Trust. Now, Georgia specifically up in the Giants Causeway and Carrigareed side of things in National Trust. So Georgia's going to kindly give us a little bit of an update of some things that are going to be happening there up on the roof, I believe. Thanks, Georgia. Over to you.
Hi everyone. Just to introduce myself briefly, my name is Georgia Calderwood and I'm a Communications and Marketing Officer for the National Trust as part of the Giants Causeway and Carrigareed Property Group. With the 153rd Open Championship just 4 weeks away, expected to generate over 250,000 visitors to the Causeway Coast, the Giants Causeway and Carrick Reid teams can't wait to provide local visitors, international visitors and golf fanatics alike with a giant open welcome this July. I was delighted to be asked by Patricia and the Tourism NI team to come on to this webinar this afternoon and provide a bit of a short summary of what we have planned for Open Week. And so far, it's been a pleasure to listen to all the industry representatives so far, providing their expertise and key knowledge of what we can expect from the biggest sporting event ever to be held in Northern Ireland. So just to provide a bit of a quick overview, the Giants Causeway Visitor Experience reveals the story of this world-famous geological wonder. Open from 9 AM to 6 PM with the last admission at 5 o'clock, visitors can join a guided tour, leaving the visitor centre on a frequent basis throughout the day, or can pick up an audio guide available in 11 different international languages to learn more about the history and geology of this special place. Within the visitor centre, visitors can explore the interactive exhibition and interpretation area, browse our retail area where 90% of the product lines are locally sourced and inspired by the Causeway Coast area, and can top off their visit with a relaxing cuppa and a sweet treat in our cafe. Suspended almost 30 metres above sea level, visitors can take on the challenge of the famous Carrick Reid rope bridge and enjoy stunning views of the Scottish Islands, spot soaring seabirds and basking sharks, and can walk in the footsteps of salmon fishermen as they make their way across to the island. The 1 kilometre coastal walk evokes memories of the past when the salmon fishery was at an all-time high, and how fishermen first constructed a single handrail rope bridge to transport boxes of salmon caught off the island. The Carrick Reid Visitor Experience is open from 9 to 6:30 with the last admission to the site at 5 o'clock, and included in the visitor experience is reserved on-site parking, walks and talks illustrating the history of the site, access to all facilities including restrooms and our cafe, and of course rope bridge crossing. Throughout the summer months, our Experience of Visitor Programming team organised a number of events as part of Summer of Play, which is a National Trust campaign inspired to get families out and about and exploring the beauty of nature. Alongside wildflower crown making and rock pulling activities, we host games on the roof of the Giants Causeway Visitor Centre on select Fridays throughout July and August, where visitors can enjoy a mix of traditional family favourites like giant checkers and Connect 4, as well as swing ball, beanbag or ring toss, accompanied by Finn McCull's fitness challenge and obstacle course. For Open Week in particular, on Monday the 14th and Friday the 18th of July from 11 AM to 3, families can join us for fun-friendly golf challenges, where visitors of all ages can spend the afternoon perfecting their swing and enjoying the fresh air and breathtaking scenery of Northern Ireland's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. All that being said, summer is the busiest season for Giants Causeway and Carrick Reid, as we welcome thousands of local visitors and international tourists from across the globe each week to the sites. For the best rates, we strongly encourage all visitors to pre-book their visitor experience tickets in advance via our official websites. Pre-booking helps our teams to prepare for visitors' arrival, and our early and late special rate, applicable for online slots between 9 and 11 and 3 and 5, also enables us to spread visitor numbers throughout the day, therefore reducing traffic congestion and queues to improve everyone's overall experience. National Trust members and local pass holders gain free access to the visitor experience. However, pre-booking in advance is still strongly recommended. Aside from day-to-day operations, in recent years, the Giants Causeway and Carrick Reid have developed a selection of collaborative experiences so that visitors can immerse themselves in the culture and stories from the Causeway Coast and connect with locals as they share their knowledge, passion and history. These experiences give a deeper understanding of these special places and allow visitors to engage with some of the local people who make them so special. These experiences range from Whiskey on the Rocks, carried out in collaboration with Old Bushmills Distillery, Beyond the Bridge in partnership with Dalriada Kingdom Tours, the Clifftop Experience with Away We Walk, and Wonders of Land and Sea, carried out in collaboration with Alcoholics. Please note that the Clifftop Experience is the only signature experience that can be booked by the public via our website. Whiskey on the Rocks, Beyond the Bridge and Wonders of Land and Sea inquiries must come through our bookings office. But if anyone would like any further information on what I've just discussed, please don't hesitate to drop me an email at georgia.calderwood1@nationaltrust.org.uk and I'd be more than happy to help. That's all from me. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Georgia, and it's great to hear about all that collaboration as well. That's one of those words we just love to hear. So thank you, and thank you to Cheryl as well. It's just given us a little taste. I know lots of other organisations are doing things, but outside of the Causeway Coast, and then up at the Causeway Coast there's just a little taster for you guys. So it's now my pleasure. We've absolutely rattled through it today, so well done to all of our speakers. We're going to hand over to volunteer now, Andrew Hanna. If I can invite you, Andrew. Thank you so much. And Andrew's going to tell us a little bit about the volunteers and the volunteering experience that's going to be going on during the Open. Thank you. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. So, very quick introduction. Yeah, my name's Andrew Hanna. I am involved in the events team at Volunteer Now. I've been invited just to speak a little bit about what we do as an organisation, but then our specific role at the 153rd Open this July. So a little bit just about Volunteer Now. We promote and support volunteering across Northern Ireland. We do this in a range of different ways. Firstly, I suppose we would promote those opportunities, the volunteering opportunities for the general public. We have a volunteer database which has all of the opportunities available, and people can log on and see what's of interest to them and then get in touch with organisations directly. We also then would be available to help people along that journey of finding those suitable roles. On the flip side of that, we would work with organisations themselves in terms of their volunteer programs, making sure they are following that best practice in terms of their recruitment, their supportive systems and their management, whether that be the design of roles or that general, I suppose, culture of volunteering. And we ultimately want to make that a positive volunteer culture, whether that be organisation to organisation or whether that be wider across society as a whole. We have our training and information team who would deliver a series of different training on child protection, safeguarding, or those specific volunteer management subjects and topics as well. What I'm here really to focus on is our events team. So we do have a wide range of work that we're involved in, but our events team is specifically based around the event ambassador role. We would be brought in alongside maybe smaller local events, but also those larger global audience events. I've listed a couple of the big ones we've been involved in, such as the World Police and Fire Games, the Giro, the Open back in 2019, or the Tall Ships as examples. Next slide, please, Barry. In terms of then our role and what we're going to be involved in this time round, we're specifically off-course volunteers, so assisting in a range of different ways, but it will be off the golf course. So again, seeking to make an entire customer visitor experience. We were involved in the same capacity in 2019. A little bit in terms of what we're trying to achieve, we are hoping to involve 150 volunteers, estimated with the number of shifts and so forth to be over 3,000 hours. So a big contribution from local people to really boost the event. We will be involved for 8 days from Sunday the 13th to Sunday the 20th of July, and our volunteers will be situated right across Portrush. So the transport hubs, the train stations, the park and rides, but also then those walking routes, the key walking routes that people will be going along to the golf course. In terms of the purpose, we've heard a lot of mention in terms of the authenticity, the warm welcome that Northern Ireland is famous for. We hope to increase that and increase the amount of interaction that people will have with locals, the knowledge that those people can pass on, and also then just ultimately to be a helping hand for those people who maybe have questions like nearest toilets, when's the tea times starting, is there somewhere to go for a tea or coffee, what's going on in the evening, all of those sorts of questions that you might get asked by people who are here for the first time, or even those who are aware of Portrush and aware of Northern Ireland. Ultimately as well, then there's going to be huge footfall, so it's to ensure the safe arrival and departure of those visitors, doing it in the assigned walking routes, the most efficient way possible to again make that seamless and give people the best experience they can have. The photo on the right is after the last shift in 2019. We got saturated. We're hoping for the weather this time around to be on our side, but it's a hugely exciting piece of work to be involved in. We are just about to approach our training week, which is next week. A huge element of that training will be tourism opportunities, what's going on in the town, a lot of what Johnny has spoken about as well. So yeah, we're really excited to be a part of it, and I can pass back to Patricia.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I think that photo just sort of sums it up. That even when they're absolutely drenched, it's a bunch of people that are just full of energy and enthusiasm. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Now, that's all of the main presentations. So I'm going to just invite oh, I think I've frozen. Okay, I'm going to invite Siobhan back just to say a few sort of words of conclusion, and that will give you a final opportunity if you haven't yet popped a question into the chat. There's still time. Pop those in, and then I'll be picking up any of your questions just after this. Over to you, Siobhan. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. I love all this. I really find that this is what really brings it all to life. It can seem so theoretical, can't it? Up until I suppose you see the build, but then you see all these activations that everyone is doing. I just do really think that, as I say, it brings it to life, and I think I'm definitely going to second what Andrew says. Let's hope the weather is much better in 2025 than it was in 2019. But yeah, like Patricia said, great to see that people were still smiling. And I think, yeah, thank you so much, obviously, to Johnny and to Titanic Belfast and National Trust as well for their input. And definitely, we all have to keep a lookout for those open letters if we're up north, and see where we can spot those hiding. And I think it's great as well. Thank you so much, to hear about the other industry opportunities. I think it really does show what events like this can do for the north as a whole, that it's not just about the immediate area, and that there are so many opportunities to get excited and really all band together. So I really hope that you've picked up some useful tips on how to make the best for your business of the 153rd Open. 4 weeks, someone mentioned. I think it actually is. I think I've blocked that out of my head at times because I can't believe it's coming round, and it really is happening. I mean, we want to make this a really great event for our local industry, but of course for our visitors, for the RNA, for all the staff delivering the event, for you and for the players as well. And I think probably something that maybe didn't touch on too much was that we have huge ambassadors for golf, these world-renowned players coming to stay, to eat, to play, to enjoy the north during the Open. And I think it is so important to make sure that they have a great time as well. So one of the key things that we always say is just make sure you bear in mind you don't know who's walking across your threshold or eating your scone or staying in your bed or visiting your attraction. You never know who it is or who their friends and family are. So again, we just want to make sure that we extend that giant big-hearted welcome to everybody. This very much is around, as we've all said, essentially making sure that we make the very best for everyone. Carolyn mentioned the industry toolkit, so I would just encourage you all to go onto our website and just keep an eye on it, because it does keep being updated and refreshed as well, and with different assets and new assets as we think about things that really can help you. So please do keep a wee eye on that. And I have spotted the Open Ready badge on a few slides here across this webinar. So again, just make sure that you engage with that as well and you sign up for it. And I think Patricia might have mentioned it, and probably will at the end, but this webinar recording will be shared if you missed any bits, or you just want to have another wee look at some ideas, help inspire you and let your imagination really, really run wild potentially within reason. But no, we do want to encourage that great innovation and passion and enthusiasm that we're really known for. So Patricia, will I hand back to yourself? I think we're going to have a Q&A if there's any particular questions. That would be great.
All of our speakers this afternoon. And yes, you've stolen my next slide. I was just going to remind everyone at this stage we'll be sharing a recording of today's presentation along with a link to these slides so you can review again at your leisure. Now, we're aiming to get a PDF of these slides up actually this afternoon, and we'll get the recording available as soon as we possibly can then later on this week. I'll be shortly kicking off the Q&A session, so last chance, if you have any questions you want to pop into the chat, then you can do. And just before we get stuck into that, we're going to do a couple of very quick polls just to get a feel for how useful you find today's session so far. So the first poll should pop up on your screen shortly, and that's how beneficial did you find today's session. So that's on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very beneficial. I'll give you just a moment to complete that. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to our second poll, which is how would you rate today's webinar in terms of timeliness? And that's again on a scale of 1 to 5. Just give everyone a moment to make their selection there. Okay, thank you. And finally, do you plan to take any action within your business as a result of what you've heard from our plethora of speakers today? So that's just a simple yes and no. Just give you guys a little moment there. Okay. All right, thank you so much. So that's a great help. I'm going to take this opportunity just to let you know you will receive a link to a short evaluation form in the next day or so as well following this session. So when you do see that pop into your inbox, we'd really value your feedback and suggestions. So we would urge you to just take a few moments to complete that whenever it does arrive. Okay, so let's get stuck into some of your questions. I'm going to invite everybody back. So we'll maybe take the slide away and have a nice screen full of all of our lovely faces. So Siobhan, Tourism NI Head of Events, Carolyn Boyd, Tourism NI Industry Development Manager. We've got Johnny McCarran from Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council, Andrew Hanna from Volunteer Now, who we just heard from. Also our industry reps, Cheryl Ferguson from Titanic Belfast and Georgia Calderwood from National Trust. So a couple of our presenters, George and Carmel, had to slip away. So I'm also going to just invite along also Becca Tootle from our golf marketing team, and also Emer Hone, our major events manager. So I've just in case anything that they would like to add at this stage. So thank you so much. Everyone's very welcome. Thank you so much for hanging around. Thank you so much for all your input so far today. We have got a couple of questions through, so we'll just get stuck straight in. So Johnny, if you don't mind if I come to you first, not surprisingly, we've got a couple of questions in relation to transport and travel. So someone was wondering if you're able to share specific locations for the park and rides. There was one, I think, last year in the Northwest 200 Pits area, so they're wondering if there'll be one there this year. I know the advice is obviously to follow the signs, I suppose, as one becomes full or depending on what direction you're coming from, but will there be a list of park and ride locations that can be shared, Johnny?
Thanks very much. In terms of the locations for the park and ride, the way that the RNA run their operation, it's really quite slick the way they run it, but they don't in advance publish the list of all of their park and ride locations. What they do is once you go online to their Getting There page and onto their travel app, and once you book your park and ride location, what they do then is through that app and the metric that they have, they gauge where you are and when you're moving, and they hit you with coordinates and details of where to go to, and they start filling up the park and rides accordingly. But what they try to do in there is trying to avoid folk turning up to a location that is potentially either already full or closed or something like that. So years of experience has put them in this direction. So let it be said that there's a significant number of park and rides across the North Coast, strategically positioned for you coming from every single direction you possibly could do. And they will be through your sat nav and through your direction will be pointing you in the right direction for what seems most appropriate at that time.
Okay, that's great. of, the Boston train times. I know you'd said about TransLink site. Is there one kind of place that you can go to get sort of transport and travel advice on everything? Is that on your site, or is there any best, or is it depending on what way you want to travel?
No, absolutely. In terms of if you are going to the championship and if you're going to the golf, the apps, the best answer to that question is going to the Open Zone website, and within their website they have a section called Getting There. That lists all the different ways and means and possible varieties of getting to and from the championship. Whether you're coming by bus, coming by rail, coming by park and ride, active travel locally. There's advice there about taxis, drop off points, pick up points, the movement of people, the movement of vehicles, all these things. So within the Open Championship, within the RNA's website, the Open website, and the Getting There section. And the reason why we keep putting people towards that is that the things like this, of course, as you can understand, are always subject to some element of change. If anything's going to change, the first and primary place is updated is there. So that's what we're pointing everyone towards. Everyone looking at the same place at the same time is definitely the best way to do it. So no, that's where I would point you all towards.
Yeah, that makes great sense. So if anyone has someone staying with them and they want some travel advice, they can share that link as well. So that sounds perfect. Great. That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Johnny. Cheryl, if you don't mind if I come to you, thank you so much for that update on what's going to be happening down in and around Titanic Belfast during the Open. One of the things you mentioned was about obviously getting your staff excited. It's all industry who are on the call here today. So I just wondered, would you have any specific tips or advice on what sort of things you're doing to get staff engaged and excited about the Open in particular, or any advice at all you could share?
Yeah, I will. I'll just outline a few things, and some of them will probably be more relevant to us, and hopefully some of them are transferable to others so they can get some takeaways. Now, we started getting excited about the Open in January with our staff conference. So one of the things, I guess, is communication, and we're really trying to just make sure that everybody in our staff body, which is quite large at this time of year, we're a seasonal high season, where it's our busiest time of year. So we want everybody to be aware. Firstly, so communication is one of the key things. So we have daily briefings with our front of house staff. So we're making sure that that's very much on the forefront of their agenda, that they know that this is going on, they know the specific events. We're going to have sort of highlighting what's going on, even if it's not immediately on their doorstep. So just kind of little calendar, if you like, day-to-day events within the Open. But obviously as well linking that into what's happening in Titanic Belfast in relation to the golf. I mentioned that our activation is happening only on a Sunday, so it will be particularly pertinent to our weekend staff. We also have a weekly operations meeting, so we'll make sure that wider areas in the business are fully updated and aware a week in advance of anything specific changing. So that kind of daily briefing for front of house staff, weekly what's up, what's coming ahead with our operations teams. And also we're using our staff intranet platform. So we are able to upload sort of articles, information, key points, and points of interest about golf more generally, and people from all around the world, just to give our team, who are primarily as well storytellers, something to connect with our visitors, and to have that part of the welcome that we offer them when they visit us. Another thing with sort of key is signposting, and just making sure that we have all the information on people's fingertips. So we'll be having banners and things within the building. We'll be making sure that that people know that the activity that's happening on Hamilton Dock by the SS Nomadic is in connection to Titanic Belfast, because obviously we want to encourage people who are in the building to go and have fun with the golf, but we also want to encourage people who are at the golf to come and visit Titanic Belfast and the SS Nomadic as well. So it's just making sure that that is clearly communicated to everybody. And it's also a reminder to our staff when they're in our Grand Atrium that this is happening, and there's something more to recommend to our visitors. Have you tried this? So we'll be making sure that that messaging is available internally and to people who are turning up. We're also quite keen to make it a fun message, that we want this excitement to be shared with our staff. So we want them to have fun and to make sure they're aware that this is something to sort of play with. It's not just something that's really sort of dry and official. So it is family fun and activation. We're going to have photo opportunities. We want to make sure our staff are aware, and encouraging people taking photos on behalf of visitors is something we're quite familiar with doing outside the Titanic sign and in our shop, etc. So we'll make sure that we're sort of promoting that message as well. And then the final thing I just recommend is celebrating it. Something we do regularly with our staff is we recognise where staff do go above and beyond, and they're welcome, and that they have done something that has been deserving of attention. So we use our internal staff communication board, a bit like a sort of news feed, to say we've got positive feedback from a guest, or we had a particular company or event that came and they were very happy with the experience they had at Titanic Belfast. So it's about celebrating where people are doing fantastic things, and getting that excitement to kind of filter through the wider staff body.
That's really, really helpful, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And I think there'd be something that people can identify with from different elements and different sizes of businesses there. So thank you. I really appreciate that input. Thank you. We have someone here who's wondering if they have events coming up, where they can display those or how they can communicate those to golfing visitors. I wonder if anyone could pick up on that for us. So this particular, so it's events and festivals that are going to be going on during the event. So how can they best be communicated?
Yeah, Patricia, I'm happy to pick up on that one.
Thank you.
So I suppose there's two key options. I suppose given that it's was it Belfast that you mentioned it was an event, or just in general?
This is a Belfast Whisky Week event in particular, but I suppose if we give a general advice, there could be others. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so there's two options really. Our Discover NI website, we have a What's On section whereby you can submit your events, festivals, for us to display on our website. I suppose the second option, specific to the Open and golf visitors coming in, would be the visitbelfast.com website / the 153rd Open Championship. If you pop that into Google, you will come up with a page where they are going to be displaying a lot of the different events that are taking place across Belfast that week. And this web link will also be available and going out in some of our press due out at the end of July in the Belfast Telegraph too. So that will give you a good option in terms of getting the information out there about your event.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Emer. That's really helpful. And everyone's been very kind to us. But I think, as Johnny said before, with the drop-in centres that they have, hopefully this is a sign that most things have already been picked up, and people have joined us today to just get those kind of final updates and final pieces of information. I don't know if anyone else has anything else they want to take the opportunity to reiterate, but I have a little slide. Barry, if you were able to bring it up with just a little summary of some of the useful links and things that we covered today. So this will be in the PDF of the slides afterwards. So we've got useful links here for how to access the Get Open Ready toolkit that Carolyn talked about, and as Siobhan and Carolyn both mentioned, that's a live document, so it can be evolving. So even if you downloaded the toolkit way back in January or February, it's probably been tweaked and evolved in the meantime. So do check that out again. Also, you can head to the tourismni.com / the 153rd Open. That's where the toolkit is hosted, but there's lots of other useful information on there as well. Carmel, who talked to us all about the useful marketing assets, they can all be found on the Northern Ireland content pool. So again, we've got a handy link for you there to access that. As Carolyn talked about, we've got our My Tourism NI e-learning platform. It does have a Get Open Ready module, and you can find out a bit more about that and sign up to that if you haven't already at tourismni.com / mytourismni. But that's not the only module on there. There's lots of different really useful topics. So if you haven't been on that platform before, we'd really recommend you go and check it out and see. There could be lots of useful things on there for you. For more information on accommodation certification, now we're on the final straight now. So if you're trying to get something turned around in time for the Open, you better maybe give them a call today. But anyway, there's lots of useful information on there in general, and there's a useful link there. And as always, any upcoming industry events you can find on tourismni.com / TED as part of our program. So we do have coming up just next week a lunch and learn session on inclusive and accessible tourism. So hopefully I'll be able to welcome some of you along there as well. So if you head to tourismni.com / TED, you can find out more details and registration links for that. So all that remains now really is, unless anyone else wishes to add anything, is just to say thank you so much to all of our speakers today. Thank you for giving of your time and all keeping the time so well. We're right on track. Thanks to the team at Eventful behind the scenes who've been keeping everything running smoothly on the technical side for us and picking up any kind of questions that might have been people for joining us. All the industry who've joined us for today's session. Don't forget, this is the third of these, and they were all recorded, so you can go back and watch any of them again. And again, when we send our follow-up email, we'll send links through to where you can easily find those recordings as well. So thank you so much. You're all very welcome. Hope to be seeing you again at something else in the very near future. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everyone.
Thanks all.